Welcome to this video. I'm Eva and I'm so excited to be making this video. This is going to be about relationships because I wish that when I was younger, so my younger self would have this video that I'm posting would have it. Because yeah, there are so many lessons that I've learned and I wish I would have known them many years ago. So let's get into it. So the first one is that the difference between a toxic relationship, a relationship with an emotionally unavailable person, and or if you're emotionally unavailable, and a healthy, stable relationship. And I'm not a psychologist, so please keep in mind this is just my personal experience. So my personal experience when I was in a toxic relationship, this can be with a family member or a boyfriend, girlfriend, boss, sibling, friend, whatever it is, but it is when there's physical or emotional abuse. So for example, when one person doesn't treat me or the other person correctly. So for example, in my case, I was in a toxic relationship in some way where the other person was dismissive or putting me down, or yeah, just not being nice to me, or ridiculing me in front of other people, screaming at me, shouting at me. And that led me to feeling a lot of shame within myself and feeling I'm a mistake, I cannot do anything wrong. Yeah, just feeling so much shame within myself and feeling very unhappy. And so that is a really not a good relationship. And then a relationship with someone who's emotionally unavailable, and I think there's such a big difference between emotional unavailability and just someone who's not interested. So someone, because sometimes I think like when some people say, oh, he or she didn't text me back, he or she's emotional unavailable, and maybe, but probably it's just because they're not really interested in you. And of course it hurts for the ego, like being rejected always hurts. But emotional unavailability, and that's what I've learned, is when someone is actually really interested in you and they like you or may even love you, but just they have this inner pressure of they cannot uh, fulfill the expectations that they feel you set on them, and so they need space. And then of course you feel like, oh my god, I'm going to lose that other person, so you give more, and then the other person feels even more that you put expectations on them and they go away even more. So it becomes this cycle of like chasing and going away, and that is not good. So how to get out of it? If the other person is also open to therapy, obviously go to therapy and work on yourself, you can get out of it. But if the other person is not open to working on themselves, it's really not a healthy relationship, because your needs are not being met. And then once I got actually more into a healthy dating situation with someone who's very stable and really kind and really offers to meet my needs, I actually became the emotional unavailable one, and I actually felt this huge pressure that I cannot fulfill the other person's expectations, and I needed a lot more space. And so, and if you're like that, I can highly recommend to go to a therapist and work on those inner, like to work on those, healing your core wound and healing on those things, because it really is so important. Like relationships, having a quality relationship where you feel like you can rely on the other person, it gives you so much safety. And something really important that I've learned is that being with a person who's safe and secure it feels like, it doesn't feel so exciting, because it feels much more exciting to be with someone who's not who's a little bit disinterested in you, or who is maybe a little bit unavoidable, because they give and they take. So they give and they take, they give and they take. So it creates this roller coaster, and that feels exciting because you go up and you go down and you go up and you go down. But it doesn't, like, it feels exciting, but it doesn't feel so good in a long term, and it can be actually quite quite painful for you. So it's much better to be with someone who is quote unquote boring because he's stable, because what you want ultimately is to have a stable relationship so that you can always come back to that relationship for stability and for safety. And then if you, for example, have a business or you work, that's where you can have those kind of like adventures in a way, but you want a stable relationship. And just because it feels maybe like boring, because it's not that roller coaster, it's actually a good thing. So yeah, I think that was super important for me to learn, that it's so much better to be in a stable relationship, where, because I always had that idea subconsciously that I have to work for love, and that is not the case. You don't need to work for love, and love should be given. So yeah, and just being with someone who gives you that love, who where you don't wait anxiously for the text, you don't feel because I always felt so anxious when I was with someone who couldn't reassure me. And of course, in some ways you have to handle your own emotions, but in some other ways you always still have to feel, okay, this is my need, and just not feeling anxious with someone but feeling safe is really great. And that's such a good sign for me when I'm dating someone and I get a little bit like tired. Yeah, it's just such a good sign, because you feel safe with that person, you can be with that person, you don't need to like, you respect each other, you respect your time, you can communicate maturely, and you can be who you are. I think that's also really important. So yeah, I think that was the video for today. I wish I would have known that, because when I was younger I watched so much dating advice which was like, you have to be that way, when in reality the crux of it is, in my case it was, and it still is, to work on myself via therapy, to really understand, okay, these are all like all the limiting beliefs that I got from my childhood mostly. And yeah, and that I deserve a healthy relationship. Like, you deserve to be with a partner who's super kind to you, who gives you a lot of love, who meets your needs, who can be who invests in you time and all of that. And yeah, so I wanted to share that. If you have maybe a similar story where you were in different relationships, please share them in the comment section. I would be so curious to also hear about your story and what your experiences. Have you been in bad relationships? How did they feel? Did you get out? How does a healthy relationship feel for you? And yeah, I would love to hear about that. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a beautiful day. And if you liked that video, please subscribe to my channel.